Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Could a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations, no need to make amends, no losing our consciousness, haunting anxieties, lackluster memories and steps. Now I think I found it all, towering over my bed is all, a single smile is all it takes.
Alright, welcome in everyone. Let's see, am I... Great, I'm not muted. Awesome. So we are gonna turn on this. Okay, so here's the plan for today. We are gonna be doing some writing, or whatever projects we have for today, up until 9 p.m. After that, we will be switching to some reading. We will be reading Beneath the Moonless Sky today. I believe I want to get through at least 2 chapters. That should be good. At least 2. 2 to 3, because these chapters seem to be a little long, and I don't want to do so much in one sitting. So yeah. I am doing well, Elle. How are you? Now let me just open up this just to make sure unnecessary stuff is not going to the stream. That's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, and this is the store we're working in. Okay. Since I still have it on Super Sweet Bot, I'm not going to change anything. It's a timer promo. There we go. Vector, hello, hello. How are you? I don't know, I should be taking that as like meh, okay, or like today's not doing okay. Fine. I was working on some shorts today. Okay. Thank you. Echo, hello, hello. How are you? Do I even need to ask what you're concerned about? Oh, and how's the game with you and Ghost? He's telling me you guys are playing a game together. Ew, nice. How much hell did he put you through? Katsuro, hello, hello, how are you? Korean, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. How are you doing today? Bruh, winter's too cold. fine. Depends on the question. Like, when I started doing it? Is what you mean? Well, when I first started streaming, I was streaming like I think 4 times a week. It was like I think like for 2 to 3 hours. That was like after work though. So I was doing like part reading. Not part reading. I was mainly doing writing streams. But then around I think around a little bit after Christmas time, I started reading. I think the first reading stream I did was during Christmas time. And then I would just interchange between the two of them. Devon, hello, hello. Oh, we found one of your clones. By that I mean ghost. So the guy we found, he's texted to me. Hold on, let me look for it. Where's? Let me scroll up. The name was Divine Dragonblade. Going pretty well. Alright, Devon, you have a good one. Sumi, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. How are you doing today? And Bat, you can? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing today? Hello. Welcome in. How are you? I saw your new monitor. It looks so pretty. Have you used it for streaming it? Well, I'm excited to see it when you actually start streaming with it. And I'm doing well. We're just doing some writing today before we switch over to some reading. Ooh, good luck with your game. No, a lot of people do that. I think I've seen memes of those on Twitter. That's good. Oh, of course. You mean when Ghost isn't here? That's when all chaos happens. Well, I'm glad that's the feeling you get from this. I think I got a little out of hand, I think. I did get the redeem to work, though. However, the chat commands don't work now. I don't know why. Don't know. But I will say this, I have plenty of clips now. Probably for the next 2 months. Uh-huh. Mud, hello, hello, how are you? And thank you for the streamer package. Oh, thank you. No. Do I have a command for story? That is the question. Okay, here's her website. Okay, there we go. Oh, did I forget to put a space? Oh, I thought. Just because that's gonna bother me. And no, I have not gotten a bookmark yet. Oh. Didn't mean to move the mic. You guys heard nothing. So I am going to be disabling the one of the redeems. So everything with a sound alert is being disabled. Okay, I think that's all of them. Okay, so before we begin, I am gonna get some more water, and then I'll be back.
keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Could a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Could a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make amends, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my pedestal. A single smile is all it takes to stop my end. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my pedestal. A single smile is all it takes to stop my end. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Can a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my pedestal. A single smile is all it takes to stop my end. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. need to make amends, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my pedestal. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks, catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my pedestal. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Could a radiant light apprehend the night?
Okay. The mic unmuted now? Good. Yes, yes, it is. Okay. Let me just turn off the music here. Wait, why I have this? Delete that. Right now we are switching to reading, but let me make sure. Was the timer still going on? Hold on. Sweetbot. Cancel. There we go. I thought I did 3, not 4. My bad. Okay. Okay. So we're going to be reading the next 2 chapters of Beneath the Moonless Sky. This is by Anne-Marie K. She's a fellow streamer, and she's also one of my friends. So, I do have 2 different commands for her. One for her Twitch channel, and also one to purchase the book if you like the story. And Annie Bag, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. Actually, let me turn off. I am doing well. Let me just turn off the music. There we go. Okay, yeah, so I think I am gonna add the... Just because the story seems a little dark, I think I'm gonna add the significant profanity of vulgarity warning on here. But let me check actually the actual Amazons. I see where she has it under. Okay, this is a dark fantasy story. See details. Yeah, it doesn't specifically say here. But I do feel like it touches on like some dark themes here, so realistic violence, no. Extreme injury or death, no. I think we're fine. I think just because some of the wording she uses, I'm just gonna put that with that one warning. So, Beneath the Moonless Sky by Anne-Marie K. We are currently on chapter 6. Asmela Melody, Upper City, 1821. Elias locks himself in his labs, mixing and failing with medicine for Zaid, a year. His nights turn to mornings. The clock ticks at each passing hour, as he slaves under his candle and books of past remedies. He refuses to see anyone, wishing to remain alone until a cure is found. After a month, he believes he has found the cure for Zai. His only choice now was to test it upon a recent subject. But who could he test it upon? He feels himself going mad as he paces back and forth, thinking of a reason to bring a sick civilian to his flat. Would the potion even work? This was the cost of science. He had no choice. The doctor gazes out his window. The view of the hospital just a block away. He smirks. Perfect specimen was easy to procure if he just uses his influence upon the medical board. A knock on his door wakes him from his thoughts. Elias takes a moment, straightening himself to appear presentable. It is Abel at his door. "What are you doing here, Abel?" Elias asks, raising his eyebrows. "I am concerned for you, Elias. You have not left your lab in months. Your parents are growing more concerned by the hour. What is it that is keeping you locked away like some lowly goblin?" Abel says, his voice stern. "I am close to a cure, Abel. Come in." Elias waves his friend inside, leading him towards the mess of vials and powders scattered. Abel's expression growing into outward worry and concern. The noble watches his oldest friend spiral, searching for the completed potion. "Elias, when was the last time you ate or bathed?" Abel asks, unable to conceal his worry any longer. He approaches the doctor, placing his hands upon his friend's shoulder, staring firmly into Elias's determined and brewing eyes. "There is something troubling you. When will you stop this isolation? Is it only adding to your frustrations?" Abel says, feeling the tears starting to swell up in his eyes. The doctor's eyes flash with rage as he slaps Abel's hands away, slinking back into the barely lit laboratory. "That is none of your concern," Elias spits back, angered that his true friend would not be excited for the cure he has spent months, no years, on trying to perfect. Unable to listen to reason, Abel sees that his friend is starting to fade into something he was not. The unchecked anger and of obsession nature to find this cursed cure. This obsession can endanger your career and status. And what of Rosalina? Is she just to wait for you? "Abel, I don't need you to turn on me as well," Elias sighed, combing his fingers through his tangled hair. He watches as his friend pull out a handful of letters. "Elias, I'm not questioning your motives, but is what you are seeking worth this price?" Elias softens at the mention of her name, a name he seems to have forgotten since he started this brutal crusade to squash this plague. "How did he get those letters?" the doctor asked, watching his friend watch him carefully. "I have come to see you every day, Elias. I leave my life alone to make sure that you are in good health. I make sure that you are fed and have plenty of water to drink. Have you not taken notice?" Abel says. Elias sees the pain he has truly caused. His heart sinks further into the pit of his stomach, realizing his appreciation of always having breakfast made on his table when he wakes after unwillingly giving into exhaustion. "I am sorry, Abel. Can you forgive me?" Elias says, dropping his head, the shame washing over him, unable to look at his friend. "You are already forgiven by me, my friend. Here, take Rosalie's letters. She no longer resides in Tisdale." Where is she then? As he lounge, Abel says, shrugging off the dust from his collar. Now go wash up after. No woman wants to wants to sleep with you. He jokes, laughing off the seriousness of Eliza's obsession. And thank you, my friend, Eliza replies. Rosalina paces back and forth, her hair tied to the side with a silk ribbon. Lender stands at the doorway, his eyes never wavering as the lines in his forehead crease with disapproval. Her hands tightly grip a letter from Elias. Lena, you've not heard a word I have said. Lender says, taking her in his arms, his hand cupping her cheek. Must you continue to wait for a man that is blindly obsessed with his ambitions? Rosalina looks up at her employer. A man that has been near in comfort in this year of neglected heartache. It is his work. It's more than work, Lender interjects, his face stern as he gazes at the girl. Holding her gave, Lender leans closer to her, his thumb rubbing against her lips. He knows that she should not. He knows that she should not have this hold of him. Yet he has watched her practice perform for a year, her skills improving day by day. I have been hearing rumors of Elias, and if you are not careful, he will fail you. Lender says, a tinge of pain pound at his chest as he watches Rosalina look away from him, her lips forming a pout. There is no need to be unkind, Lender, she hissed, to have Elf steps away from the shapeshifter. In a huff, Rosalina storms out, her face flushed and red with heat. Lender sighs, his legs heavy to the floor, not allowing him to follow her. He bites his thumb before he turns to leave, closing his eyes as he exhales the shakiness of his breath as he balls his hands into a fist before he slams the door shut, unable to let her go. The old fool, he whispers to himself as he slumps into his chair, a glass of brandy in hand. That night she sits on the windowsill as the rain sprinkles and taps against the glass. Hearing a knock at the door, she walks over and opens it. Lender stands at the doorway, his shirt undone and his gray hair a mess. Beneath the candlelight, Rosalina feels her heart beat as she stares at his scars and muscles under his white shirt. May I come in? He asks, his voice gruff and unsure as his eyes avoid hers, and a flush of pink peeks from under his olive skin. She nods, letting him. In his hand, she notices 2 glasses and a bottle of wine. Is this an apology? Rosalina asked, raising a perfect eyebrow, her hands instinctively reaching for the bottle to open, as she has done with the crasses many times. In a sense, yes, though this is more of an irrational social visit, he admits, as he lets her take the bottle from his hands. They sit in quiet for a moment before the pop of the cork breaks the awkward silence, the sound of the liquid pours in each glass calming their nerves as Rosalina sits beside Lender, her bare knees touching his. His eyes wander and gander at her figure. He swallows hard, and the bright liquid hits with a slight burn at the back of his throat. As he continues, he focuses his attention at the girl. What do I owe the pleasure then? She asks, her voice soft as she feels her chest tighten, and she feels a burn at her cheeks. Her own eyes unroot the focus on his face. She bites her lip She stares at his large chest and thighs. His look as if they would rip a hole through the fabric. She leans it closer to him, taking in his scent. A smell of firewood and pine trees with a hint of citrus engulfs her nose as she places a hand on her waist and the other against her thigh. Is something wrong? He asks, his face inches from hers. No, she replies as she kisses him. Oh, the betrayal right there. Okay, so this scene particularly seems a bit inappropriate for a 16 plus stream. Hold on, I'm skimming through this. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a sexual scene. So, I am going to be skipping that part. Just know they, it was kind of obvious. They did sexual stuff. That's all you need to know, okay? We're skipping this. This is still part of that scene. See, I'm not getting in trouble by Twitch, okay? And this is not an 18 plus stream. So. Okay, so after that scene, they're both asleep. Okay, this is the last paragraph before the next scene. Exactly. If you want to know what happens, you can get the book yourself. But I'm not reading this out loud. and risk getting in trouble. So yeah. It is the grand opening of the Elysian Lounge, and the half-elf was beginning to feel nervous, worried she would not be able to perform well in front of a true crowd. Linder enters her dressing room unannounced. He's grown accustomed to barging into her rooms, letting down brand new makeup made specifically for her. The shapeshifter places his large hand on her shoulder. What is this? Powder specifically to enhance your elven beauty, he answers truthfully. The girl agrees, continuing her usual route. Are you nervous? I would be lying if I said no. Yeah? I would be lying if I said no. Don't be, you'll be wonderful. Thank you, Linder, Rosalina replied. She watches him leave, allowing her more privacy. The half-elf gazes at herself in the mirror. Her brown skin unblemished, smooth to the touch, her amber eyes large and round, emphasized by the black liner mascara. She was indeed beautiful. She knew this. It was not something she took pride in. Her gown is made of the finest silks, falling off her shoulders. Canary yellow to brighten the room, Linder says. Her lips painted a pale tinted purple. Her chestnut-colored hair dangled down her shoulders, exemplifying her slender neck, decorated in fine crystals. The employer has spared no expense for her gowns and jewelries. Rosalina waits behind the velvet purple curtains, hearing the crowd growing more excited by the minute. Thankful her hands were hidden beneath her gloves. She hears the crowd grow silent. The curtains draw back, exposing her. The deafening silence surrounds her before the piano begins. The half-elf cannot help but breathe, her eyes frantically searching the room for a familiar face. Anything. Across the room, she sees him. She sees he is dressed in the finest clothes, Elias. He smiled forced and genuine at the same time. Her heart skips a beat. She composes herself, allowing her emotions and heart to take over. The crowd stares patiently, waiting for her to start. Ranger watches from the corner of the bar. She can sense his curiosity loom over her. She begins to sing in Elvish, and as melody, a sad tune, one she had practiced with the Elvish pianist many times. He knew her cues and followed. Once upon a time, when we met, a soft summer breeze blew me to you. Beneath the full moon, our love began. A demon stole my soul as our kisses burned flames of lust. These flames that inflames without burning. They destroyed my home until the fire was diminished. The piano followed suit, her voice growing more powerful against the instruments. The crowd sits in awe, listening to the words that dripped from her tongue. It was as if she was a siren in an elvish form. All the good and all the bad. The story of my heart and soul broken. I watched him become a monster I could not face. Once full dreams no longer meet, until one spring evening when we locked our eyes. She pauses, her eyes locking into Elias, studying his emotions. Rosalina catches a single tear fall from his stone gray eyes. Pain behind them, she yawns to stop, but holds him close to assure he was doing great work. She knew deep down the work he obsessed over, dangerous. Like the storm of his gaze captured you. Our story unfolds. Each moment I see him, flames ignite my passion once more. My history gone as I make anew from the ashes of despair, and my heart beats for him, with the longing of his love, longing for him to embrace me each night and every morning until we grow old. This love that will burn within me until my death. Rosalina finishes, her eyes never wavering from Eliza's. She wanted to see him, to understand his world. Yet she knew she wouldn't. She is a coward. Fears drove her every instinct. She ignores the crowd's applause, ready to continue for another song. A song sung with a longing and sorrow, a magic flaming the room of gentlemen. She licks her painted lips and starts. I'm afraid of aching again. I'm afraid to forget that night. I'm petrified it begins again. The pain it creates. It was a vengeance and sin, my life and common sense. How could I want it for this obsession to go over it again? Like this, come back, and it begins again. Even though I'm terrified, I follow my heart, ready to run. So afraid of your voice that does not answer. It haunts me. I'm petrified to trust. Perfidious and ignorant, it deeply hurts. I'm afraid if it starts, happiness is there. It is fleeting. Ready to ruin everything for you. And that was the end of chapter 6. Yo, I need a bookmark. Oof! Ant! Well, let me know when the ads are over. I'm not looking at Twitch. No, it doesn't even tell me there's an ad running. No, it says ad starts in 27 minutes. Wait, are you still on an ad? Bruh, don't refresh if you didn't get an ad. Beastman, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. As I said, I need a bookmark. Okay, so pretty much, she was just singing. And pretty much the two songs, bro, like, expressed her pain and, like, you know, and then her sorrow and stuff like that. And then Elias, he was feeling that pain. Oh, no worries. You're good. And you probably didn't get an ad because I have it run through the automated one. So, like, right now it's telling me pre-rolls are off for the next half hour. Although, to be honest, I don't know how Twitch determines who has what. Bruh. You mean the weird new Barbie movie? Ugh. Like, I've watched every Barbie movie, but I am not watching the one where, like, she's actually human. I said, fuck that. No, thank you. Yeah, no, we don't talk about the new Barbie film. Apparently a lot of people like it, but like, no, thank you. I'll stick to the classic ones that they made. You should be. Pre-rolls are off for like the next half hour or so. Oh, thank you. That's why sometimes when you see me pause, because I'm skimming through to make sure there isn't anything hella inappropriate. I am aware this is a dark fantasy, so if it's like Sherlock Holmes, I wouldn't have an issue. Because those are a lot of the classic stuffs. And they really don't really go that deep into these type of topics. But yeah. But because it is a dark fantasy, so yeah, that's why I was kind of skimming ahead just to make sure. It's still within TOS. Yeah, but half of that stuff is like an old English language that half of us don't even understand. So Okay. Chapter 7. Dash. What's return? Elias's lab. A storm rages in the east, sending fierce winds across the seas. Elias sits alone in the darkness, his hair unkempt and his clothes wrinkled and torn. He can hear the whistles of the wind raking through the city. He ignores them, unbothered at the danger of their approaching hurricane. Elias reminisces of Rosalina's words, a voice haunting and pure. Was she singing to him of himself? He is confused. Regret seeps through his fingertips from that night. He felt her there, staring at him in sorrow. He wanted to hold her in his arms. That very moment she appeared from behind the stage and in the lobby, a beauty unlike any other. She smiled. How did he forget that? Her smile. How did he forget it? But a man interrupts them, large and proper. Linder, the owner, and her employer at the lounge. He is a controlling man with an aura of intimidation. Elias would not dare intrude, though he longs to. His heart begins beating fast, faster than normal, and his temperature higher than normal. There is a knock at his door. The doctor scrambles to his feet, stumbling drunkenly to his door. And as he asks who is there. Rosalina. Her words send a sharp pain through his chest before he opened the door. He stumbles to the closest mirror. His attempts were mute at hiding himself up for company, much less hers. Liza opens the door. May I come in? She asks. Waiting for an answer before she steps foot in his home, Liza nods, gesturing for her to enter. The room smells of sweat and moisture. Eliza knows she is holding her biting words of how filthy his flat is. Why are you here, Rosalina? He crosses his arms, defensive, ready to snap at any wrong word she may say. We did get a chance to speak at the opening of the lounge, and today is my grocery day, so I thought I would stop by. Perhaps we could have tea, she answers. Her large eyes stunning him from the distance he is keeping. Your boss was very intrusive. Linder has been kind to me, Elias. What has he received from you to earn his kindness? The jealousy seeps through his voice, and his words like a fury of knives as send the girl staggering back. Her eyes flash with anger. I thought I would come to continue our conversation that was rudely interrupted. But now I see that it was a mistake. I will not bother you again, Doctor. Her words are cold. He could see she held back tears. She shoves past her heels, stomping out into the deserted hallway. He pauses a moment before he reaches back to stop her. Rosalina is gone. Regret continues to fill his thoughts. He pours another glass of whiskey, alone once again. Elijah drowns himself in his sorrow. He feels a dull pain on his neck. The man stands, and the room is spinning around him. Another knock on his door. He stumbles as the room starts to blur in and out of focus. He opens the door to see Linder standing there, his face scrunched and twisted with anger, as he barges into the doctor's room. What do I owe the pleasure, sir? Eliza slurs and spits at the enormous Adrenian's newly shined shoes. Linder does not flinch. Instead, he scrunches his nose at the stench of the flat, moldy tea with body sweat and death. You are a disgrace to your family name, Doctor. How dare you? Who in the hollow? Linder slams the lights against the wall, his golden eyes burning with a fire and rage. As he pins the weakened Krasnik into the brick. Do not speak down to me, boy. I am here as a favor to Lena, and nothing more. The horror of the words tastes bitter as he says them, and another instant regret. Lander's jaws clenched tight. You are a fool, yet you cannot seem to fathom you wasting. Hold on. Yet she cannot seem to fathom you wasting away. Here, take this and vow to never speak to Rosalina again. She shall be out of your miserable existence you call a life forever. What do you mean? Hold on. Elias's eyes grow wide with fear, and his upper lip begins to tremble as he fights back his tears. What do you mean? Surely I will see her perform. The shapeshifter shakes his head, his eyes stern as he watches the young Kasnak go pale. I plan to take her as my wife, and she will have me. I do this last kindness in her name. Will you take it? He acts, releasing the doctor from his grip, and places a vial of soil from the Ode continent. Take a deep breath. Blood takes the vial, his heart aching at the thought of never seeing the woman he loves, for her to be married to another. He shoves the vial back into Asamian's hands. His eyes narrow. No, I shall not take this if it means I am to be without Rosalina. The words trail off on their sides and turns his back to the man. If you truly love her, set her free. Do not allow her to linger in the pain waiting for you. She deserves better than that, Lord Tavrington. He replies, his face is shrouded in worry and frustration. Keep it. The soil is post from magical root of an ancient Ashrangian tree. Will you allow me then to see her perform? Lander rubs his eyes before he nods in agreement. On one condition, Esnet. What is the condition? Apologize to her. Yeah, he kind of probably pretty deserve that. The two men stare at each other after a moment before Eliza asks about the soil. What is he to do with it? Boil the soil in hot water and mix it with the cherry wine with a splash of salted vinegar. Perhaps then you will have the cure you are so desperate to attain. Young Krasnik looks at the old shifter as he leaves, a sudden soberness coming over him as he does as the attorney instructs, and suddenly Elijah feels the sweat drip down his face. It was like he fought and unable to stop. He moves slowly to his lab, shuffling through papers and clutching tight to the table. He holds himself up to the mirror. The doctor examines himself as carefully as he can. There is a large black spore growing on his neck. He shakes in his disbelief. How could he have gone inside? Will he die in this horrid state? Will Rosalind find his corpse weeks after decay has set in? Elias's thoughts spiraled out of control as he panicked, searching for the small glass vial, the cure he had formed weeks ago. Perhaps it is best I test the contents before I perish. Tears swell his vision, clenching the glass vial. He drank its contents. Oh, he has the plague now. Oh, that sucks. Rosalina stops at the door. She gazes up once more. Disappointed rushes through her, unaware that Lander has followed her. She admires him so much, it hurts to be cold and distant. His work was his world. Important to save those who are inflicted with the demon curse. She called it Zide, a cruel disease that was created by dash alive to make a point of his power. She knew healing it would be only for a short time. With their resurfacing, her father had overcome it once and then succumbed to its lasting poison. Perhaps it was for the best that Elias was cool to her. It gave her the courage to finally leave this world. She would be second in his eyes, the half-elf size, opening her umbrella and disappearing into the rain. The half-elf is stopped by Victoria, a silver woman. A slave holds an umbrella over the Fae's head. Rosalina raises an eyebrow. Miss Victoria? It is Duchess, Victoria. One so low as yourself should have dressed your betters properly, Victoria sneers. My apologies, Duchess Victoria. To what do I owe this visit? Rosalina sighs, seeing a small cafe across the street. Not full, but soon it would be. Would you care to join me for tea? The half-elf asks. Victoria agrees. They enter the small cafe. A doorman takes their coats and umbrella, bowing in respect. The smells of freshly brewed coffee beans and candlewood. A fireplace heats the entire house, and the candle lights that float around for a magic illuminating the place. Finding a secluded spot in the back, Victoria and Rosalina sit, each one waiting for the other to speak. Victoria finally speaks first. I would just come out and say it. Stay away from Elias. I know what you are. The face scowls, crossing her arms. A waiter approaches the girls and is quickly dismissed with one quick order. Victoria orders a black tea with no sweetener, and Rosalina orders a black coffee with a milk on the side. And what am I? Rosalina asks as she crosses her legs, her eyes narrowed and her lips pressed together tightly, her heat racing beneath her calm facade. A whore, one so lowly does not deserve Lord Tappington, the Fae hisses, slamming her hands on the table, attracting a few eyes. Pardon my forwardness, then why should you care? You are married to Lord Vesperton, so why you have been following me to Elias's flat? Rosalina is tired, her eyes heavy, but she refuses to allow such a boiled-temper brat to speak down to her. To tell Lord Tarrington of your sinful affairs, should he choose to fornicate with you. Besides, he and I have been childhood friends. Shut up. Rosalina snaps, standing abruptly, her words dripping like venom. You are nothing but a spoiled brat, who knows nothing of the true world around you. How dare you speak so rudely to your betters? Victoria stands tall, her arms fully crossed and her body lightening with magic as she glares at Rosalina. Ha! You're no better than a bitch in a heat. The half-elf laughs, cracking her knuckles, fully insulted. Victoria sends a force of wind at Rosalina, sending the elf flying, knocking over glasses and tables. The noblewoman smirks as Rosalina struggles to get up, blood dripping down her lips. She wipes it away and glares at the Fae. That is it. I have had enough, she said as she opens her mouth and starts to sing a wordless song, and her eyes start to glow, as the wood beneath Victoria's feet start to disappear. She is stopped by Lender, his enormous hand gentle on her shoulder. He pulls her back into his arms, the floor reappearing. Forgive my tenant, Lady Victoria. She has a lot on her performance plate, and I have been overworking the poor creature. Lander lies, taking Victoria's hand and kissing it. The girl blushes. Just make sure to keep her on a leash, Victoria snaps, before barking commands at her slave to gather her belongings. Lander shoots a disapproving look at Rosalina. before lifting her up bridal style. He ignores her protest to be let down, only complying once they reach the lounge. Why go and make enemies with that Harpias girl? Lander asks, squeezing his eyes shut. I didn't mean to. She just kept pushing me, and with everything going on with Elias, I'm not taking anymore. Rosalina responded, her eyes cast down. Forget him then. Why waste time on a man that pays you no heed? Lander asked, gently pushing aside a strand of hair from Rosalina's face. Her gaze haunting as he leans down, kissing Rosalina. Elias's screams went unanswered. The doctor is alone in the complex, and he kicked his servants and household out. A fire burns in his throat. Dripping down into his stomach, he falls to the ground, clenching tight to his chest, his body contorting, bones cracking underneath his skin. Elias continues to cry out, his tears pouring from his eyes start to turn to blood. He starts coughing up blood. His body still feels like it's burning alive. It stops suddenly. Everything is quiet now. Elias thinks. His breath slowing. He lay still in a pool of his own blood, as if accepting death. Visions of Rosalina appeared before him, like heaven's light. She had held him captive by her beauty and grace. No, I will not die, Elias thinks. Unable to move his limbs, he forces himself to stay conscious, waiting, praying for her to return. Through a small crack in his window, he feels sprinkles of rain kiss his face. His heart falling once again. All of his countless hours of research, he is nothing without her. Her letters wrote of her encouragement. How did he think he was strong without her? She was his pillar to rid the world of side. Elias knew that he had fallen in love with Rosalina the moment she appeared before him that night in the hour. Yet he denied it for so many months. He could not deny it anymore. He longed to confess his love to her, to apologize for the months of neglect and dishonor to her. Hours have passed. Beneath him, Elias feels his blood beginning to move, shifting and mold itself, breathing life into itself. Still frozen in place, he could only listen to the movement turn to whispers and laughter. Free! Its voice is guttural, as the blood disappears into the shape of a man. No, not a man, a demon. Elias opens his eyes. A creature of shadows and torment hovers over him. His black horn wings are spread wide, knocking the vials of glass from the shelves. It cracks his neck, shuddering the charred flesh. What have I done? Fear spikes through his entire body. The demon stretches, examining his surroundings, his yellow, blood-red eyes scanning the room, stopping at the doctor laying paralyzed on the ground. The demon smirks and bends down to the doctor. You were the one to release me. I thank you, he says, his voice echoing through his throat, like there are thousands of voices speaking through the single being. Frightened, Elias does not speak. Tat smirks. The demon opens his mouth slightly, tasting the air. His eyes close and open once again, feeling excitement as the familiar scent of taste. Rosalina was here. She escaped him once many years ago, when her father destroyed his last vessel. Now he is reborn and craved his full power. You are of my blood, child. Stand. Dasher commands, lifting Elias to his feet without touching him. Speak, his voice sinister and natural. I do not know what you are, creature. Elias finally speaks. His knees buckle at the massive size of the demon. The demon stands nearly 10 feet high, his head barely touching the ceiling of the lab. The demon eyes shimmer, splitting apart before reforming. I am the ruling emperor of all Vastalian blood, conqueror of Ismaila in the west. You are, vegetable blood. A direct descendant of mine. Ah, shit. The demon explains, unmoved at Eliza's fear. What do you want? The doctor stutters. Then the demon stares out the window. Haunting memories swarm his mind. He turns back towards the doctor. I take back what was lost to me, he says darkly. His laughter sounds of metal and bells ringing and grinding against each other. The demon closes his wings and shifts into a tall, muscular man with silver hair and peach skin. He pushes past the doctor, his skull shifting for a moment. He needs minions to help him navigate this world. That's what leaves Elias alone, healed, unaffected from his curse. The demon shrinks himself to a normal height, almost 6'6". The demon blends into the crowd, studying the new city. That's what memorizes each street and building before he figures out he is no longer an Ashmala. His descendants must have traveled to this new country. He wants more information. Ignoring the confused stares, the demon finds a library. That enters unfazed by the drops of water and steam coming from him. In an instant, he is dry, his body temperature hot to the touch, melting anything that touches him. Cautiously, he cools his body, taking 3 to 4 history books from the shelves. A group of women staring and gander at the demon. Quickly, they are infatuated with his features. A sharp, square jaw with long silver hair. His eyes bright yellow with hints of red and expressive as he reads. His body large with muscle. His skin pale with undertones of red. Ignoring the woman's gossip, he releases a pheromone in the air. The woman quickly becomes even more entranced, slave-like. He motions for them to come to him. They obey. Simple woman, easy to target, and easy to control. Now, ghouls. Tell me about this country, Jess without command, shifting his voice to appeal to each woman. They do as instructed, each one giving details of the cities. What is different between Upper and Tisdale. With a wave of his hand, he has them completely under his control, mindless creatures. Their souls forever corrupted by his evil. The demon stands from the deck, taking the large pile of textbooks with him, bypassing anyone who attempts to stop him. The 3 girls pick up the remaining books, following the demon outside, leaving their belongings behind, not to return back to their homes. Desoya continues walking towards the outskirts of the cities, where no one or anything will bother him. From the ground, he lifts his ancient castle from the hollow vales, where his palace lays dormant in the dark dimensions, waiting for its master returns. He follows suit with a barrier to hide. His power was draining. He feels for the first time in eons exhausted. He opens the doors to his keep. A gust of wind and scent overwhelm him. The demon enters his home. Walking through each corridor and hallway, he stops in one room, hesitating at first. He is filled with lust once again. Her smell of peaches and honey. That's what opens the door. A portrait of Rosalina hangs on the wall, her hair pulled across her shoulders. He runs his fingers across the painting. Everything was how he had created it for her, to impress her at one time, then to imprison her. The Demon King's heart is black. He did not know of love. He knew only death and power. Obsessed, Rosalina is constant in ruling his thoughts. Oh, hold on. It is constant in ruling his thoughts that kept him from dying, and she is alive, close, so close that he tasted her perfume. and kept the taste on his tongue until he could no longer follow her scent. She had vanished again from his grasp. Daswet needs fuel. His power drained him so much so he had lost the half-elf scent. He then decides to stalk the streets of Tisdale, bloodlust rising as he approaches a couple of four is eating in the alley. He rips the girl's beating heart from her chest, opening his mouth to devour it. He then begins sucking her soul from the hole as her lover screams in horror. Covered in blood, the man attempted to run, only to be run through by a black wing, pulling him back into the darkness. The unfortunate man alive watched as his blood was drained and taken from him. His limbs were next. Each. The demon relishes in the pain of the suffering, leaving the body. He continued his feast. His eyes were set upon new prey, sirens, that swam too close to the surface, are ripped from the waters, and their voices and life stolen from their bodies, as Dashwat ravages and savors each flavor his victims provided. Dashwat salivates in each kill, destroying his dark powers. Slowly, he is becoming whole. Soon, he will send for his army from the Vestrials Isles. And that is the end of part 1. We're actually halfway towards the book already. Now let me see here. Only been 3 hours? Is this part of the chapter? Let's just see how long this chapter is. Okay, yeah, so we can read through the first part. Yeah. We can read through the first chapter in part 2. So, actually, let me edit the title, because I only put the first 2 chapters. Huh? What do you mean by that? Oh! Okay. Chapter 8. Desire Burn is Mela 1760. Rosalie is into her bedroom, gazing at the full moon. The stars, bright, glistening and dancing against the night sky. She freezes for a moment. She sees a shadow block out the moon for a second. She decides to see what could have blackened the sky. Alone, she sneaks past her guards like she used to do as a girl. The night air was fresh, with the smell of pine and grass from the gardens. The half-elf princess enters the forest, mist and fog becoming concentrated and dense. Jessica stands alone in the forest. He is tall with sharp features, his clothes torn and drenched in blood, and his silver hair glowing beneath the stars of the Asmela skies, and black wings blocking the moon. This new world he found himself in had piqued his interest. Humans and elves living in peace. He now had a new world to conquer and bring to its knees. The demon smirks. Atop a tree branch, a three-eyed raven sits and watches its master. Desolate motions for the creature to fly. It doesn't say a word, but the dynamic bird knows its master's wishes. It spreads its black wings and flies back to the east to ready an army. While the Demon King waits, he decides to explore the country. But first, he found himself a spring in the forest, one lit by fairy dust and magic. He took notice of his body covered in blood and dirt. Pieces of flesh from enemies he had slayed just days prior, stuck in his hair. Remembering the cries of his enemies made him feel alive once again. A true feeling of ecstasy. He washes his body of the dried blood. From the bushes, he stops, lingering, listening intently as a young elf falls in the shadows. He stops in surprise. The girl was a beauty unlike any other. Her eyes were large and amber, her skin smooth like a peach. That's what felt his heart skip a beat as he watches the girl struggle to her feet. He sees the blush on her face. She was innocent. The demon smiled, turning to face her fully, the water dripping off his sculpted body as he takes a step towards her. His red eyes turn yellow to put the girl at ease. "Why are you spying on me, girl?" His deep, foreign voice sends chills down her spine. "I was not," Rosalina replies, taking a step back from the demon. "Oh?" Deswat raises an eyebrow, curious. "Tell me your name," he demands, towering over the half-elf. "It is not polite to demand a girl's name, especially when you are indecent," the half-elf replied, turning her gaze away from the demon. "My apologies." Dashvat smirks. Amused, he covers himself with his wings. "Now, your name, girl?" "Rosalina Chavez. And yourself?" Dashvat Dracul, ruler of Australia. "It is a land in the east." Dashvat replies, bowing his head to Rosalina, his eyes holding hers for a long moment. They stand for a moment watching each other as the clouds blackened. As the clouds blocked the moon. Upper 1821. A ship docks late into the harbor. The captain and his crew dead, their bodies modified and defiled. Stepping from the ship is a tall man, a silver with yellow hair. He smirks as he smells the industrial air. His eyes glaze over as he finds the scent he was summoned from, his master. That's what. Vertigo disguises himself with but a wave of his hand, his gray skin now olive, a simple yellow for a warlock of his caliber. Master, he growls, as he descends into the shadows, searching for the great demon. Meanwhile, Lender sits in his study, reading over recipes and letters when he sees Elias rush past him in a panic. His already pale skin now ghastly white. His eyes show terror. The shapeshifter waits a moment, listening intently as the doctor bangs on the tenant's door. He removes his reading spectacles and stands up ahead toward Rosalina's room. The girl is awkward by an urgent knock on her door. She covers herself with a scowl. Cautious, she opens the door slightly. Eliza pushes through the door in a panic, his face pale and a look of terror upon his face. He watches in disbelief as the doctor collapses on the floor, tears and sweat racing down his face. Rosalina kneels beside him. Gently, she places her hand upon his shoulder, pulling him into her. She feels his breath calm as she runs her fingers through his black hair. Elias, Rosalina says, still embracing his frightened body. What happened? Her voice brings him back to gazing from her arms. Elias sees the worry wash up. Rosalina, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, Elias says, as if trembling and his entire body shaking uncontrollably. The wind screams as sirens and emergency alarms go off in the distance. Rosalina feels a dark sensation fall over her as Tezua's face flashes before her eyes. His voice and echo so close that her hands fall to her side. Her eyes fill with terror as she turns her attention to Elias, her voice shaking. She looks the man in the eye. What did you do? Elias is silent, a shadow falling over him as he pushes away from the half-elf. Her brown skin glowing beneath the moonlight that shines through her open windows. More screams from the distance break Rosalina's gaze. Rosalina stands abruptly, her entire body visibly shaking with anger and fear. Dash, his name falling from her lips, scares her into a frozen. Rosalina, do you know? He is dead, killed by my father. Why is he here? She asks herself, ignoring the distraught man on the floor. Rosalina felt her entire body give out, like the air was stolen from her lungs, as memories flash over her. Overhearing this short conversation, Lender can feel the shift in Rosalina's body as he bursts through the door, catching her before she hits the floor, her body temperature burning to the touch. The shapeshifter glares at Elias, cautious and on guard. The scent of the ancient demon king wafts over the doctor. What are you doing here, Mini Draku? Lender growls, his golden eyes glaring as he begins to shift. I am no minion. I am Krasnak of the Tavington family, ancient slayers of vampires and demons, quickly says, his gray eyes red from tears and stress. Lender pauses his transformation, his hair shortening back to its human length. He lifts Rosalina in his arms and places her on her bed. Speak, why do you read of Dashback Darkul, the demon king? The shapeshifter acts as he turns to face Elias. I was infected by Zide and took my poison, which is cured to end this plague, and suddenly this demon emerged from my blood. The doctor's face darkens, remembering the encounter with the demon, his taunt and his bloodlust. Lender sighs as he wipes the sweat drop from his brow. His gaze softens as he watches Rosalina sleep, as if only for a moment she is at peace. What made Rosalina faint? The shapeshifter acts still standing between her and Liza. I don't know. She suddenly said the demon's name and then fainted as you ran in to catch her. When she wakes, I will confront her of this. Perhaps she knows his story and more. How could she probably know of this demon king? How could she possibly know of this demon king? She is only entertainer and nothing of importance. The two men are interrupted. Rosalina is waking. Her eyes glaze over as if in a trance. She stands. The half-elf begins to walk past the two men, before Elias takes her arm, stopping her in her step. Rosalina, wake up! Elias begs. She shakes her back to her sense. As he shakes her back to her senses. What? No, he is dead. Father killed him. Rosalina screams as she falls to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her eyes flash to her cheese neck, taking it. She attempts to plunge it into her chest. Lender and Elias both rush to restrain her. Both men are confused at her sudden suicide and panic. Elias is the first to take her cheek, rubbing the tears away before he kisses her. Rosalina blinks twice as she returns to her senses. Elias, she murmurs under her breath. She leans in for another kiss. Lender watches with jealousy. His want for her had gone unnoticed. Rosalina turns to Lender, an emptiness behind her amber eyes, as she asks him to give her and Elias some privacy. Shapeshifter bows and leaves them, a clear air of resentment and frustration. She turns back to Elias, their eyes locking. Oh, so much for that. Deep into the city of Upper, an old castle sits. It is unknown as the Vespertine Castle. An old soul-keeper family, cousins to the Reinhardt house and known warriors and hunters. The head of the family, Vladmsorensen, sits at his desk, lit only with a single candle and a glass of brandy in his gloved hand. His blue eyes glow with a piercing gaze as he reads the current report of the string of murders in the lower district city Tisdale. His door opens, letting in the morning light. He sighs, his shoulders stiffen, before he stands from his seat. Master Vespertine, your son is here to see you, a servant says, bowing his head. The silver shifts his gray eyes to the floor as Vlad walks up to him. Thank you, Cree. Inform him I shall be in the lounge. Clad replies and disappears down the hall of the castle. I didn't censor anything. Clad waits for his son to enter, signaling for a maid to bring him another brandy and breakfast. Abel enters, frustration all over his face. Clad stares at his son, waiting for him to speak. Well, there's gonna be a lot of argument in here. Abel enters, frustration all over his face. Clad stares at his son, waiting for him to speak. Sit down and eat, Abel. Then tell me what frustrates you this morning. Clad says and points for a butler to pull out a chair for his son. Abel sits, cautious as he studies his father's movements. Slight as they are, there was always a purpose to his movements. I assume you have read the paper? That there has been a string of murders in Tisdale? Abel says, getting to the point. Yes, your point. Class acts coldly. I speak with Elias. He says it is the ancient demon king Darkul. If what he says is true, and I believe it is, we must prepare for war. Abel replies, his palms sweating as the words fall from his tongue. Vlad pauses a moment, his dark-eyed eyes lock onto his son's, not moving a muscle as he studies his air. After a long silence between the two men, Vlad stands. In a flash, he is behind his son, his hands quick. The old Kresnek pins his son down, breaking the silverware and table with the force of the attack. Abel struggles against his father's surprise attack. Finally, he pushes back, sending his father across the room. You are careless, Abel. You are cruel. Has it taught you nothing to be on guard when a potential enemy is around? What are you to do if the demon is in your reach? Clyde ignores his son's feelings as he pulls out another sheet of paper. A summons from the royal family. I have been summoned to court in light of these recent murders. They fear it could be the Demon King as well. However, there is no proof, and you will need to make sure there is no panic among the commoners. Do I make myself clear, Abel? Clyde says, his ocean eyes cold, with no hint of emotion behind them. What of Elias? Abel asks, matching his father's stoic stance. The sweat on his brow betrays his own emotions. I am sure he has been summoned to court. Clyde answers coolly before he continues on. I'm giving you a small group of 200 soldiers to keep the peace, and if needed be, capture whatever creature is killing our citizens. The Grand Duke finishes. Abel stares at his father in a moment as disbelief, then sighs in relief as he watches his father's movements and emotions. As hard as his father is to read, Abel knew that his father knew more than what he was saying. Either way, the young noble is glad to have his father's trust and support. And that's the end of, what was this, chapter 8? Yeah, that's the end of chapter 8. Okay, so, yeah. We are, like, about halfway from what it looks like. So, we will be picking this up next week. Is it next week? If it's not next week, it's following. Like, I have to double check what I have on the schedule. But I might actually just do writing next week, since it's still Camp Nano for this month. So, yeah. That is the plan. Thank you. We're gonna... What's the marker I have right here? But, like, I need to get an actual bookmark. Because I don't want to, like, damage the book. So, just on a side note, the book I'm reading is one of the copies that Katana gave me when I did the pre-order. But since then, it looks like she has updated the file on Amazon and changed the ending, from what I understand. So I'm not sure if that's the actual copy I have, or it's the one that she updated was after she sent the pre-orders. So yeah. So the ending, wherever the ending is for the story, it might be different from what she actually has on Amazon. Oh, of course. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so let's see here. Who are we gonna rate today? And that's assuming they are still gonna be on. Let's see. We have... Let's see, is he still on? It's cutting it close. He's like already going for like 5 hours already, so... Okay, so we could rate Kuruka-san. He is Sora's PNG artist. And he is doing art. So that's another relaxing time, right? So here are the rain commands, everyone. So thank you all who came to the stream today. I appreciate every one of you. As I said, next week we're going to be continuing some more writing, and then I may or may not continue the story. I haven't decided yet, but we will see. And of course, I'm always available on our Discord server. If I am eventually planning on doing maybe some reading streams on the Discord server, apart from the bi-weekly reading streams. And also next week on the 23rd at 2:30, it is the podcast, so it will be on my channel. So yeah, so if anything, if there gonna be any tweaks into the schedule, they go on Discord first, and then they eventually go on Twitter. So with that, I will see everyone next week then. Bye bye.
I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks, catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks, catch a ray.